Hello, friends. Dan here with Dan's Millionaire Code. And every single week I try to bring you someone who's built an empire out of dirt, out of nothing though. Why? Because this is virtual mentorship, and the guests will usually show you how you can take nothing and turn it into something amazing. So today's guest is a good friend of mine, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown of kind of what he does. Dave Allred. He launched his career with Vivint many years ago. He served 8 years as a regional VP over there, one of the best salespeople on the planet. And then after 3 years, did Vivint Solar, and then there was acquisitions for billions of dollars of those companies and things like that. And he's led hundreds of sales team members, got them all rocking, closing deals, making it happen. Now he consults to all kinds of medium and small size businesses, high growth businesses across the country, helping them scale and expand with executive consulting. He's also created a unique lifestyle design program focused on living life fully with freedom and purpose, which he'll get into a little bit. He started investing in real estate about a decade and a half ago, and he's created an insane portfolio. I think right now you got, 1,000 doors or something crazy? So some very large amount of that. And so we'll just get into it a little bit of what he's actually building. He's also got a new private equity fund called Axia Partners, which is amazing, and I think he'll give you information if you're interested in that. And we've met through mutual friends. One of our good mutual friends is Aaron Wagner, Cookie Monster, Cookies, Football, Everbowls, Wags Capital, and all that. So you guys are working on this fund together. And one thing is we both love scaling our companies. So let's tell us how you built this. I mean, where you started from and how you got to where you are today, man.
Well, Dan, first of all, thanks for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it. I've followed you for a while now. It's always been fun to watch your journey, and I love your approach on business. And I've joked that I feel like you're the most interesting man. You could be like one of those on those commercials, like you're doing a little bit of everything, and a very intelligent approach to it. But yeah, again, thanks for having me on the podcast. In terms of where we started, it's a long story, and so originally grew up in a small town called Manti, Utah.
Oh yeah.
Really small. It's population is about 2,000 to 3,000 people, and grew up not really ever talking about investing or real estate or any of those things. I'd say we had a very humble, a very poor upbringing, and I say that I'm actually grateful for that looking back, right? It makes everything else a little bit more enjoyable, and you get that contrast later on in life. But grew up, was homeschooled up until age 5th grade, and I remember when I first started going to public school. My first day there, we were out playing kickball, and one of the kids was like, "Hey, I'm gonna kick your butt." And I was like, "I'm gonna kick your butt." And he's like, "No, I'm gonna kick your butt." I'm like, I actually had no idea what he was, the expression of kick somebody's butt, because I was homeschooled. We were around a lot of social stuff, right? So kind of socially inept or whatever. Jumped into public school, and then we really just not a lot happening in Manti. We wanted a 4-wheeler, for example, and so my siblings, there's 4 of us in total. We all worked for about 6 months to earn $300 to each contribute for this 4-wheeler. Nice. And then my brother actually wrecked it 2 months. Oh, 2 months later, right? So, first job was mowing the yards, or the groundkeeping for the city buildings down in Manti. Making $4 an hour, and then I got an opportunity to go work at the library for $6 an hour, and so I jumped on that, really opportunistically, to get that $2 increase. And just went through all that, and then went to college, served a 2-year service mission in Peru.
Oh, nice.
Came back, was going to Snow College, and they had a recruiting booth set up for going out and do summer sales with a company called Pinnacle Security back then. And they had donuts out, and that even had a pizza recruiting meeting. And the guys were wearing their leather jackets and had their Hummers down there, and I was just like, that looked pretty cool, I guess. And so went to that pizza meeting, recruiting meeting, and next thing you know, I was out in Chicago for my first summer.
Whoa.
Yeah, big difference going from Manti, right, to to the highest crime areas of Chicago.
You already had good sales skills from your good dunk rate in Peru, right? Like you're knocking doors, right?
I mean, definitely learned a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that teaches you a lot about communication, about hard work, all those things, right?
And people are sometimes crazy, right? When you're
Oh, absolutely, 100%, 100%. And it really teaches you how to deal with failure and with rejection, right? And you get kind of comfortable with that. And so, yeah, went up my first year in Chicago, and honestly, it was a really, really hard start. My first week, I sold one account, and then later on found it was actually a failed credit account I shouldn't have sold in the first place.
oh no,
So I had to go and like rip out the install, the alarm system that we installed, and first month was rough, and but about halfway through that summer, a regional manager came out, spoke with our team, and he talked about how we could become, sales managers the next year, and there's opportunities for, actually managing and leading other people. And I've always loved leadership. I've always kind of been called to or drawn to leadership opportunities. And so that really flipped a switch for me. Like, okay, this guy should be an opportunity for me to be able to do something bigger than just, focusing on myself. And so finished that summer really strong. Actually sold 121 accounts, which is pretty good, respectable
Nice.
number. Finished number 2 in that office. And the next year I was offered a management opportunity, came out, top first-year manager, and then became a regional manager for 2 years, became a regional vice president of sales for the company.
wow.
Helped manage 123 teams across the country, and yeah, absolutely loved that whole experience. Really learned to become comfortable being uncomfortable, and to embrace doing hard things. And I actually feel like that's a real skill set of a lot of entrepreneurs and people I look up to in business is the ability to embrace hard work, not just hard work, but hard things. Like to actually take the harder route. Because sometimes the harder route is where the real upside is and where the real opportunity is, right? Not just financially and from profitability standpoint, but also in personal development. And it's just more enjoyable when you have to pay the price, when it's harder sometimes, right?
Yep.
So
That's
that's
huge.
kind of a run, and then jumped over to Vivint Solar, 2015, helped run the California market. Loved that whole experience, but the whole time I was always investing on the side into real estate.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just as a kind of a side hustle, and so I was always taking that active income and moving it over into passive income, and that really grew into a passion. And so in 2017, I pivoted basically retired out of the alarm and solar industry to go full time into real estate construction, development, and investing.
What kind of homes were you building? Like residential first or commercial?
So originally, it was back in 2010. When there was a lot of these homes that were being foreclosed and whatnot, short sales. So I was able to buy a few of those from the auction and get really good price points on those on acquisition. And then those built a lot of equity, and then I 1031 exchange into fourplexes, and so I bought 17 fourplexes,
Nice.
mostly in Utah, Idaho, and Arizona. And then more recently, it's been transitioning those and 1031 exchanging up into apartment complexes.
Yes.
And then, after I did a bunch of these apartment complexes, it was okay, I want to do syndications. And syndication is basically where you take a lot of, capital, other people's capital, and you bring it together to take down bigger deals together. And so did over a dozen syndications and really
Nice.
enjoyed that process, being able to help create value for other people. Bringing my friends, a lot of people that wanted that passive income, but they didn't really have either the competence or the confidence to do it on their own. And so it's a beautiful way to be able to create value for other people, bringing them into these deals. And then from there, it went into, okay, what's the next step? And for me, the next step was to launch a real estate fund, which we launched about 2 months ago. Really proud of it, really excited about it. One of the things in my life has always been to beat yesterday. And so whatever I've done previously, I always want to be doing a bigger deal than yesterday. And I feel like by in that pursuit, I'm always pushing myself, I'm developing, I'm learning more, I'm getting new circles, new friends, new experiences along the way. And so I actually feel like it's a great kind of a guiding principle in life is always do bigger deals than yesterday. So
Let me ask you a question about deal size. I was kind of having a realization on this. The energy, let's say, to take a single family home, right?
Sure.
Fix it up, or a duplex or quadplex. Do you think there's a correlation effort from a small project to a big, or is it similar?
Yeah, so I think that guys ask me all the time, like, should I jump into single family or multifamily or commercial? Should I do flips or long-term holds? My advice would mainly be is just to get in the game, first of all. Like, don't overthink it, don't overanalyze it. A lot of people have analysis paralysis where they just overthink it, and because they don't know exactly which way to go, they end up not doing anything, right? And so they end up with the shoulda, woulda, coulda, comments. Like, I wish I would have gotten in. I should have done this.
You hear that about everything, though,
right? All the time. Seems like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, everything, right? It's like, I just wish I would have taken action earlier. I think that, another kind of a observation is that the best business people that I know, they're definitely action takers. They're people that take action. They don't talk, they actually do. They do, right? And so, but going back to your question, I'd say, so I made a commitment 5 years ago to never do single family homes again, just because now I understand the economy of scale and the larger upside profitability in commercial multifamily, right? And so, in my opinion, you can get so much more margin or yield on a commercial multifamily than a single family home because, there's a long list of maybe 20 different reasons why, but mainly because you have multiple streams of diversified income from multiple tenants, and so you have less downside risk of negative cash flow. You have property management fees are a lot less expensive because you have, instead of paying 8 to 10%, I'm paying 3 to 4% property management. I have better loan terms that are non-recourse, and so meaning that they can't come back on me or my personal estate or my family, if the asset went north. And so having non-recourse debt, and then also the fact that we can actually increase the net operating income, which increases the actual valuation of the commercial property, whereas with single family, you're relying upon comps, and so your neighbor's home actually dictates the value of your home based on appraised comps, right? Whereas, as you know, in commercial, we don't get valuations based on comps, it's more so based on net operating income. And so I love taking a value add approach. So all of the assets I've been acquiring the last few years, as well as with the Axia Fund, it's all focused on value add. We go in, we make improvements, we add better management, we add granite countertops, lighting, fixtures, cosmetic improvements, search engine optimization, better management, branding, social media presence, etc. And by doing that, we can actually increase the profitability of the asset. So long answer short, personally,
you raise the rents, right? That's
absolutely.
The key.
Yeah. It's
and that brings up your cap rates, right?
Yep.
And that makes them people buy it for whatever the market cap rate is for that type of thing, right?
That's right. That's how commercial works. So personally, I if I could start over again, I wish I would have, well, two things. If I go back in time, one is I wish I would have really focused on real estate even more so than what I did. And two, I wish I would have thought a lot bigger instead of having kind of, dabbled with some of those smaller things. But I also, one asterisk there, a side note, is that if you jump into those bigger deals in commercial, and you're a newbie, make sure you have a good mentor or a good, a sounding board you can get advice to make sure you're doing it right. Because a lot of times in real estate, the biggest problem is you don't know what you don't know, right? And so having a good mentor, a mastermind group, whoever else that you can actually make sure you're doing it correctly would be the one asterisk to going big.
That's huge. Sometimes I get tempted a little bit. I like to do bigger projects, but if a smaller project comes up and the math is just crazy, it's sometimes hard to resist,
Hey, I totally get that. We're opportunistics, right?
Yeah.
Opportunists. And so personally, the way I look at investing is it's really about risk mitigation, is not losing. And so one thing that I've done in my personal investing career, and I'll share this as maybe a best practice, is I keep a spreadsheet of every single investment I've ever done in my life. Okay, and so it has it by category. So whether that's real estate, bonds, stock market, commodities, cryptocurrency, hard money loans, etc. And I put the amount that was invested, the overall return on investment, and I put a grading of 1 through 10 as to how well that asset performed. But most importantly, on the far right-hand column, it says lessons learned. And so I write down exactly what I did well, or maybe what I could have done better with that investment, right? And there's a lot of ways to optimize an investment. Maybe it's I should have had asked for a personal guarantee from the sponsor. And maybe I should have asked to have a side agreement to have better terms for this, or have preferred return distributions, whatever those might look like. But by actually tracking those lessons learned, I've been able to learn from my past experience to become a more sophisticated investor and really know what my strengths and my own personal weaknesses are.
That's huge, man. Let me ask you a question. What's the most painful challenge that you've experienced in your career so far, and how'd you get through it?
Most painful challenge. Great question. I would say, well, first off, it was simply going out and knocking doors. Going out and knocking doors, in my opinion, that's as real as it gets when it comes to, creating value in the economy. You're literally cold contacting somebody, wasn't expecting you, creating a relationship, creating enough trust to be able to get in the home, speak to the customer at the kitchen table, create the value, overcome the objections, close the deal, and then ask for referrals. Like that's and then have the installation take place usually that same day. Like that's pretty crazy if you think about it, right? And so, but learning that whole process. I mean, that first year I told you how tough it was. I'd always been relatively successful at whatever I'd committed to in my life, and that was the first time in my life when I almost quit. Like I was right on the verge. About a month into the summer, and I was like, I had 6 installs my first full month, and I felt like I was failing, and it was so hard, and the failure and the rejection, and but I'm really grateful I didn't quit, because that, having persevered through that really wasn't a life-changing decision for me, and it put me on a course to where I became a sales manager and a regional VP, and to be able to create real financial freedom for my family, and to be able to help thousands of other individuals as well, have a kind of a trickle effect with other people as well. So I would say just the fact of actually going out knocking doors, and then having done that for basically a decade after that as well, and that's just not an easy job.
So how do you deal, in my experience personally too, you work on bigger deals and things like that, and all humans have that fear going into anything bigger, right? Because it's a little bit of unknown, right? How do you deal with rejection, failure, fear? Some techniques you use psychologically?
Sure. I would answer that. I have like five different ideas to come back on that one, but the first one would be having real clarity on your end goal. Okay, both in the business venture as well as in your life. And I feel like so many people, they run around in life making decisions based on emotion or in a very reactive space versus being proactive and controlling the direction of their lives. And so, I have something I call lifestyle design, which is as I've interviewed thousands of sales reps, I call one-on-one performance interviews, and I'd ask them, hey, so why are you here? What can I help you with? What's your motivation? What are your goals this summer? What do you want to get out of this opportunity? Everybody has an answer, like, hey, I want to be wealthy. I want a new home. I want to have, a new car or whatever it might be. But you dive a layer deeper, and it gets really ambiguous really fast. You're like, I don't know. I don't really know exactly, what kind of a house, how big of a house, where at, etc. And people don't really know very much. They don't have clarity when you go deep. And so I realize, hey, if I'm going to be out here doing a job that's really, really difficult, and I'm a leader that I want to inspire these people and bring out the best in them, I need to get really clear on what I personally want in my own life. And so I started with just a simple spreadsheet, like, hey, what do I want in my life? And it's evolved into this 10 chapters of what I feel like is important in life. And those are, one is, it's the mission statement. So I have a mission statement for my entire life, exactly what I want to accomplish. I have, all my goals for my family, for my personal health, for my business, for my finances, for my time. It's very important, that we're strategic and intentional with our time, with my relationships, with my experiences, and with the memories I want to create. Okay, so there are 10, and spirituality. So there are 10 areas that I feel like are important to have a well-balanced life. I saw a lot of people in my career where they're really, really phenomenal at 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of those different categories, but then they neglect and they really are terrible at other portions of those, right? And so to me, I'm like, hey, if I'm going to work this hard and I want to have real happiness and balance in my life, I need to make sure I'm doing well, at least being competent in all of these different categories.
That's important.
Absolutely, right? And so for me, to answer your question, it's getting super clear on what the end goal is. Like, what do I want to get out of this, and what's my definition of a successful life? And I think that if we could all get really clear on that, then it's simply reverse engineering down to the daily decisions that we make to make sure those decisions are aligned with the long-term outcomes that we really value in our lives.
That's genius.
Okay, and so now when I have somebody come to me with a new opportunity, I get probably 5 emails a day with different investment opportunities or partnership opportunities or JVs, and I can look at those within a minute and say, okay, does this align, does this resonate with what I'm trying to do in my life? Does this line up with my own personal lifestyle design? And so to answer your question, that gives me a lot more confidence. It empowers me. I'm much more bold in my approach because I know, okay, this is actually going to help me fast track, where I want to be in my life. Whereas I think a lot of the times, unfortunately, people make decisions based on just if it sounds good, if it's exciting. As you know, the markets are dictated by fear and greed, right? When it comes to investments, people make decisions based on FOMO, fear, greed. I always say the higher the emotion, the lower the intelligence when it comes to investing, right? So if you're really emotional about something, you should probably step back a little bit, clear your mind and make sure it aligns with what you really want to accomplish in life. So that's one answer
That's a good one.
on that question.
Taking notes here.
The second answer, I think your question was, how do you approach things as you do bigger deals in life? How do you make sure you have the confidence, right, to be able to go and
I deal
put
with
those down?
rejection and fear.
Yeah, the second thing I would say is it's really about it's mindset. And growing up, I realized that, luckily, and I'm grateful for this, when I was around 14, 15, 16, I've tried to pinpoint exactly where this happened in my life, but I realized that I actually have a lot of control in my life to where I end up, and that life is really just an accumulation of all the decisions we make along the way, and that a lot of people have, to summarize it, I would say that there's a growth mindset or there's a fixed mindset, and most people have a fixed mindset, meaning that, hey, we are where we are, it is what it is, this is my job, this is my career, this is my relationship, this is my marriage, this is my, it is what it is. And the opposite of that is a growth mindset, which is, hey, I can do whatever, I am in control of my life, I'm in the driver's seat, and my decisions today dictate my future. And luckily, I think I realized that sometime around 14, 15, 16 years old, and it was really an empowering mindset, but it also carries a lot of responsibility because we have to be accountable for where we are in our lives. And that's why a lot of people don't like this conversation or don't want to subscribe to a growth mindset, is because it actually feels more comfortable maintaining a fixed mindset because, hey, it's outside of my control, it is what it is, I am where I am. And so I think, just having that growth mindset and always trying to learn. I was with Ed Milet last year, and we were at a steakhouse having dinner, and he said, Dave, the only difference between where you are today and where you're going to be next year is 3 things. It's the people you surround yourself with, it's the books you read, and it's the podcasts you listen to. And when he first said that to me, I was like, okay, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, that's, obviously, right? But the more I've thought about that, it's really powerful. Like, where you're going to be, 1 year from now, it's really just what we decide to subscribe to and what we listen to and what we put in, right? And the last point, maybe to answer your question, Dan, is I really believe there's power in proximity. And so being around people that are doing bigger things is really inspiring to me, right? So if I'm kind of nervous about taking down an even bigger commercial deal or launching a new fund or, climbing Mount Everest or, a lot of these different experiences and adventures that I've been on in my life, it's okay, so I just need to associate myself and have proximity to the guys that are the top 1% to 2% people in that space.
Exactly.
Right? Because then it's gonna empower me. It's gonna help me see how they're doing it. And when I can see somebody in the same room or on the same same jet or in the same group, same space, like, okay, this guy's doing it. If he can do it, I can do it. Right? Like, I remember when I was a kid, I always thought, hey, if I can make $100,000 in a year, that'd be like the definition of having made it, right? Then you end up hanging out with guys that are, making, just ridiculous, they're operating on a whole nother level, and it really inspires me to be able to think bigger and have a bigger paradigm. So, so I'd say those three things. So one is lifestyle, lifestyle design. So being clear on your outcomes. Two is your mindset and what you're doing to continually improve your mindset and become the best version of yourself. And then three is the proximity of the people in your life.
And that power of proximity you're talking about, people, books, podcasts. So you don't have to necessarily be face-to-face in that proximity by listening to those podcasts, reading those books, right? It gives you a little piece of their presence, right, through those mediums too.
Yeah, no, I'll share a few things on that one. I'm always kind of cautious with this because I don't want to be like, some of the self-development stuff is kind of, I don't know, to be honest with you, it's a little bit finicky and a little bit, like the big self-help gurus and whatnot. To me, it's more just about always becoming the best version of myself. If I could just become every day incrementally 0.01% better than I was the previous day, that compounds quickly in your life. And so, as an example, I love listening to music when I'm working out or at the gym or when I'm traveling. I made a commitment to myself that anytime in my car or working out, I'm always going to listen to an audiobook, right? Super simple commitment. It's not hard to do, but by doing so, I'm able to knock out at least one book every 2 weeks. Right?
We call that net time, NET, no extra time, right? Because you got to be working out anyway or driving where you're going, right?
Love that.
So it doesn't cost you anything more, man, and you got this free thing coming in your head, right?
Exactly, right? And we live in the most amazing time where literally everything's at our fingertips, right? If you want to go learn a new language, if you want to go learn how to become the best CEO, if you want to learn how to work on your tax strategy, like it's literally all right there, right? Your podcast, right? This is a great example.
Yeah.
This is a free resource where Dan's, interviewing people that are very successful with their best practices and just sharing that freely. And so, again, most of the stuff goes back to mindset, just being coachable, being teachable, being a sponge, always trying to soak in as much as you possibly can to become the best version of ourselves. And sorry, I'm kind of going long here.
No, this is good though. This is beautiful.
I look back when I was 20 years old and I was really proud of what I was doing and where I was at in life. When I was 30 years old, I was very proud and excited about what I was doing. I felt like I was killing the game, and I was really proud of it. I'm 40 right now, and I'm proud of where we're at and my family and the tribe that we built and the quality of life. But I hope that
you're a family guy, right?
Absolutely.
You got a bunch of kids?
4 kids.
4 kids, same wife?
Same wife. Yep.
I joke about this because a lot of guys, when they kind of our age, 2 things happen. They've strengthened their family unit and not forgot about that, and kind of what you talked about in the balance, right, of making sure that people are paying attention to all sections, and they have a good relationship with their kids and their spouse and that. But a lot of guys and girls, when they hit this, like what they would call a time where they could retire if they wanted to, but you're still building stuff, sometimes that rift is built, and you see a lot of guys and girls right around 40, 50 get divorced, want to start a family over because they screwed up the first one. It's interesting because probably about 50% of my friends that are older and stuff have went one way and had to try to reset. One went another way. Some ended up single and lonely until they were really old. Kind of interesting how those paths can take you.
Yeah, and I would say that all goes back to everybody's different. So when you talk to somebody that's done a lifestyle design, taking the time to do that, like some people are very different, like what their definition of success is. For me, on a personal note, like for me, family, no question, hands down, number one. And so, and frankly, it is hard to manage that sometimes when, I have 6 businesses and I do executive consulting and I've got these syndications and the real estate fund and these things I'm really excited about and that I'm passionate about. And I have these 4 amazing, beautiful children, right? And, to children, how they measure love is, as Aaron Wagner says, it's time, right? It's TIME. And so it's like finding time for the kids and work. And so it really is, that's such a difficult equation to figure out the right balance there. I just know that when at the end of the day, when I'm in my wheelchair and I'm, 100 years old, looking back at my life, I know I'm not going to ever say, man, I wish I wouldn't have prioritized my kids or my family as much as I did, right? It's going to be something else, right? And so realizing that, because I've actually thought about that so much, like what I want in my life, and then reverse engineering that, some of the things that I do personally is I'll share this as an example. And I'm not perfect. I have a lot of work to do still, family and everything else too. But to me, it's chunking time. I call it chunking. And so every Sunday morning, I'll do a power planning for a power hour plan for the next week. And I'll sit down in my office and turn off my phone and just be very present and plan out the entire week. And
Smart.
I chunk my time based on my priorities. So number one is my family. So what I do, okay, every Sunday I have it's called Ice Cream Sunday with my kids, and they look forward to it all week, right? Every Monday night we do family time. We get together, we do an activity, have fun. Tuesday nights it's a kids date. So my daddy daughter or a father son date for 1 hour to 2 hours. And so I have 4 kids. So every month one date with one kid. And that's like it's like clockwork. I never miss that Tuesday nights. Thursday nights we do sushi nights with the kids, and then Friday nights date night.
You got this all scheduled in, right?
It's all built in there.
That's smart.
But the first thing is, and then meet with my wife for half an hour on Sundays to recap for the week and talk about our our priorities for the upcoming week. This is all dialed in, and then every single night from 8 o'clock to 9 p.m. I have it set aside for my kids to go play with them, help with homework, whatever else. And so it's not a lot of time, but it's quality. It's not quantity of time, it's quality of time. And what I found is that kids, what they really want is they want you to be present and to be fully engaged with them. And if it's even only a half an hour a day, that's a lot better than even being there for 3 hours if you're just like watching TV and vegging out, just hanging out with them, right? So that's one thing. And then so next best, highest priority in my life is my health, right? And so then it's working out every single morning for an hour, and it's specific things that I do with that side of it. And so I go down to the priorities, those 10 priorities in life, those categories, and then reverse engineer your weekly schedule. So again, it all comes back to intentionality with me and making sure that we're living the life that we want and on our own terms.
Dude, this is like massive wisdom here. You guys need to watch this like twice over and take notes too. So if people want to learn a little bit more about you and what you're up to, where's the best place for them to find you?
Probably social media. So Instagram, I'm pretty active on there. It's just Dave Allred. Allred's Allred. Same on Facebook and whatnot. Or go to axiapartners.com.
Oh yeah.
My email is dave@axiapartners.com. And it's probably the best way.
You manage your own social media?
I do.
All that. So when they message you there, you can see it.
I will. I'll see it and I'll respond.
This is killer. Is there anything else you wanted to share for everyone out there? You've given them so much knowledge here. You've given us so much knowledge.
On that lifestyle design, it's something that was never meant to be shared. It's just a personal thing that I've done in my own personal life. I have shared that with some friends and some of my clients and whatnot, and I've gotten really good feedback. And so that's something that I'm happy to share. If people are really curious about that, and if your listeners wanted to get a copy of that, happy to share that. No cost, just kind of giving back.
Excellent.
Besides that, Axie Partners, really excited about that opportunity.
It's going to be huge, huh?
I can't believe I couldn't have asked for a better team.
Yeah.
And the timing on this and the way it's all come together, I feel very blessed and very grateful for that opportunity. And what I love about the fund versus these syndications is that we can help hundreds of capital partners to create value for them. I won't go into all the details on it right now.
You definitely have a rock star team, though. You've got like Aaron involved, right?
Yeah.
He's like mega alpha rock star.
Yeah, there's nobody better. There's nobody better at deal structure and just an overall track record of success than Aaron. Also, the rest of our general partners, fantastic, phenomenal individuals, and then our fund manager, man, he's as bright as they come. Really excited about it. So, and then the overall investment approach. Well, I don't know how much time we have left on this, but but yeah, just the overall approach on that. Maybe one last thing that I'd want to talk about is the pursuit of financial freedom. A lot of people would say that money is bad or money is evil or whatever else. To me, I feel like money is simply a magnifier, and it's a tool to help accelerate whatever it is that you're about, right? Whether that's good or bad, it really just magnifies and empowers you to do more of what you want to be doing in your life. And so when I was 30 years old, I set a goal to accomplish true financial freedom for my family. And the way I did that was I said, okay, what's my family's current cost of living? And let's say it's, as an example, say it's $100,000. And so I said, okay, so how much passive? So I need $100,000 of passive recurring income to create true financial freedom for my family. And so I got laser focused on that, wrote that down. And by the way, a big part of goals in general is writing them down.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just the simple act of writing it down. In fact, there's some stats that say we're 42% more likely to accomplish our goals if we write them down.
Absolutely.
I don't know how exactly scientific that is, you know.
It's true, man. It's written, it's real, bro. Right?
The other stat is that 67% of all stats are made up on the spot. So I'm not really sure, but yeah, but by writing those goals down and getting laser focused, like, okay, I need $100,000 of passive income, and so I committed to. And so for me at that point in my life, I was like, I need to have 40 rental properties to get that passive income. And so I wrote it down, reverse engineered the whole thing, and I committed to having 40 rental properties by age 40. That gave me 10 years to do so. I was able to hit that goal when I was 36.
Nice.
And then, you know, again, so what's the next thing was, okay, I want to get 1,000, I want to have ownership in 1,000 rental doors by age 40. And so I committed that goal and was able to hit that, you know, a few months back when I turned 40. And then my next goal is, actually, I'm not going to share that next goal yet.
Oh, yeah? Secret?
But you know, it's just always.
We'll post it on the Dave Allred Instagram.
There you go.
Yes.
But that pursuit of financial freedom, I think, is a very worthy pursuit, and it's something that I would challenge, you know, a lot of my people that I care about in my own life to pursue that. And the key is just getting clear on your goals, getting laser focused on why that's important to you. You know, tie a lot of meaning and purpose behind that. It's not just money; it's making that matter, right? It's tying purpose to it, and then just go to work. And it's going to take time, but man, it's such a fun, empowering journey as you build that passive income and get closer and closer to financial freedom. I've realized about myself is that I'm driven by freedom. Like, freedom to me, it really motivates me and it fires me up. And I think that resonates with a lot of other people as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so
even makes you more productive, huh?
100%. Yeah. People think, okay, financial freedom, so what? So you can go, like, you know, lay on a hammock on the beach and just, like, chill. I'm working harder than I've ever worked in my life. And I'm absolutely loving it, but it's doing the things that I'm passionate about, that I want to be doing it, not because I have to, because I actually enjoy it, and that's what I want to be doing in my life. So, anyway, just wanted to share that.
Thanks, brother.
You bet,
I sure
man.
appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. Guys and girls, this podcast is not free. There's actually 3 things you need to do. 1, you need to execute. If you're taking this knowledge, you're listening to this over and over again, write it down, execute. It's really important. Second thing, share it with friends, loved ones, anyone you know who may benefit from hearing masters like Dave and all his lessons along with that. Third thing, your gain that you make from what you've learned here, 10% of your net profit gain, your post-tax gains, give that to a great charity. Support a great charity and give back to the universe, because when you give, the universe tends to really want to give you more so you can give back more. Thanks for joining us, guys, on Dan's Millionaire Podcast. Dave, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dan. That was awesome. Appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next week. Have an awesome one.